You were raised on a lie, that decency protects you, that empathy earns loyalty, that if you play fair, others will too. But the ruthless don't see the world that way. They see your kindness as a signal, a weakness, a tool. They don't mirror your values, they mirror your needs. They study your hunger for approval, your fear of rejection, your addiction to being seen as good. Then they weaponize it. This chapter is your first incision. We're cutting out the infection, the belief that morality is a shield. It isn't. It's a leash. The lie of reciprocity. You've been conditioned to expect balance. You give, they give. You're loyal, they're loyal. But ruthless minds don't operate on reciprocity. They operate on leverage. They don't ask, what's fair? They ask, what will he tolerate? And you've tolerated too much. Every time you forgave a betrayal, they took note. Every time you explained yourself, they measured your desperation. Every time you stayed silent to keep the peace, they saw a man who could be controlled. The predator's lens. To break ruthless minds, you must first see like them. They don't feel guilt, they feel opportunity. They don't seek connection, they seek control. They scan for emotional openings the way a wolf scans for a limp. They test boundaries, not to understand you, but to map your limits. They smile, not to bond, but to disarm. You think you're in a relationship, they think they're in a negotiation. You think you're building trust, they're building a file. The mirror reversal. Here's the shift. Stop asking, why would someone do this to me? Start asking, what did I signal that made them think they could? You weren't chosen because you're weak. You were chosen because you're useful, because you're predictable, because you still believe in the rules. They don't. The cost of the old lens. Your old lens made you a target. It made you explain when you should have vanished. It made you forgive when you should have retaliated. It made you stay when you should have burned the bridge. This isn't about becoming cruel. It's about becoming unreadable, unleashing ambiguity, becoming the man they can't map, can't guilt, can't trap. You don't need to become a predator, but you do need to stop being prey. This is the first fracture. From here, we go deeper. Ruthless minds don't improvise. They don't rely on brute force. They run loops, tight, repeatable psychological programs that turn your instincts into their leverage. You think you're making choices. You're not. You're reacting to a script they wrote. This chapter dissects that script, not to warn you, to arm you. Step 1. The hook, validation. It starts with attention, not affection, not respect, just enough attention to make you feel seen. They mirror your values, they echo your frustrations, they validate your pain. It feels like connection. It's not. It's calibration. They're mapping your emotional terrain, finding the pressure points, the gaps, the hungers. And once they know what you crave, they become the supplier. You think it's chemistry. It's reconnaissance. Step 2. The bait, guilt. Once you're hooked, they introduce guilt. Subtle at first, a sigh, a silence, a shift in tone. You start adjusting. You start explaining. You start proving. They never ask directly. They imply. They let you fill in the blanks, because if you say it yourself, you'll believe it harder. You think you're being considerate. You're being conditioned. Step 3. The reward, selective approval. Now they reward you, not consistently, strategically. One moment, praise. The next, withdrawal. You never know which version you'll get. This is the loop's engine, unpredictability. It keeps you chasing, keeps you guessing, keeps you invested. You think you're earning their trust. You're being trained. Step 4. The trap, identity fusion. Eventually, your sense of self fuses with their perception of you. You stop asking, what do I want? You start asking, what will they think? This is the final lock. You've internalized their gaze. You've outsourced your sovereignty. Now they don't need to control you. You'll do it yourself. You'll censor your instincts. You'll doubt your anger. You'll betray yourself just to preserve the illusion of peace. You think you're being mature. You're being erased. The loop is not personal. Here's the final insult. It's not even about you. They run this loop on everyone. You're not special. You're just next. They don't care who you are. They care what you'll give. And if you don't break the loop, you'll give everything.
You're not losing to monsters. You're losing to masks. Ruthless minds don't announce themselves. They don't need to. They wear personas that bypass your defenses because they were designed to. This chapter is your decoding manual. 3 archetypes, 3 faces, each one engineered to control you without ever raising suspicion. Archetype 1, the charmer. He's magnetic. He listens, he flatters, he mirrors your values like a perfect reflection. But it's not admiration, it's acquisition. The charmer doesn't want connection, he wants access. He studies your language, your rhythm, your wounds. Then he becomes what you crave. You think you found a kindred spirit. You found a parasite. He'll build you up, then extract. He'll praise your strength, then test it. He'll make you feel chosen, then make you prove you deserve it. The charmer's power is seduction, not sexual, psychological. He seduces your identity, then he owns it. Archetype 2, the martyr. She suffers, she sacrifices. She never asks, but always bleeds. You feel guilty around her. You feel responsible. You feel like you owe her something. That's the point. The martyr doesn't dominate through force, she dominates through debt. She gives more than she should, then she collects, emotionally, silently, relentlessly. You'll find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, explaining things you never meant, staying in situations you should have left, because to leave the martyr feels like cruelty, and that's her weapon, your conscience. She doesn't need to control you. She just needs you to believe you're hurting her. Archetype 3, the strategist. He's calm, measured, unemotional. He doesn't charm, he doesn't guilt, he calculates. The strategist is the most dangerous because he doesn't need your affection or your guilt. He just needs your pattern. He watches, he waits, he lets you reveal yourself, then he moves. He'll never raise his voice. He'll never make a scene. He'll just make decisions that corner you, slowly, surgically, without trace. You'll think it's coincidence. It's not. It's architecture. The strategist doesn't react. He designs. Why these archetypes work? Because they bypass your defenses. They don't trigger your fight response. They trigger your loyalty, your empathy, your logic. They don't overpower you. They make you surrender. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already compromised. This chapter isn't about paranoia, it's about pattern recognition. Because once you see the mask, you can't unsee it. You think this is about one manipulator. It's not. It's about a pattern older than kings. Ruthless minds don't just operate in relationships. They build empires, they run religions, they command corporations, and they all run on the same fuel: broken men. The blueprint of control. Every empire, ancient or modern, requires one thing above all: submission. Not from the strong, from the obedient, from the man who doubts himself, from the man who needs permission to act. That man is easy to mold, easy to guilt, easy to discard. So systems are built to mass produce him. They teach you to obey before you understand, to serve before you question, to sacrifice before you even know what you want. You're not being educated, you're being formatted. Historical machinery. Look at history. The Roman Empire didn't just conquer with swords,
It conquered with hierarchy, with roles, with rituals that told men who they were and who they weren't allowed to be. The church didn't just preach salvation, it preached guilt. It made you believe your instincts were sin, that your suffering was noble, that your silence was holy. And so you obeyed, you confessed, you submitted. Not because you were weak, but because the system taught you that strength was evil. Modern echoes. Fast forward. The architecture hasn't changed, only the paint. Now it's HR departments instead of inquisitions, therapy speak instead of scripture, safe spaces instead of confessionals. But the function is the same. Control the narrative, pathologize resistance, reward compliance. You're told to be vulnerable, to be open, to be emotionally available, but only in ways that serve the system, only when it makes you easier to manage. You're not being healed, you're being softened. The economics of exploitation. Even capitalism runs on this loop. You're sold dreams, then shamed for not achieving them. You're told to hustle, then blamed for burning out. You're promised freedom, then buried in debt. And when you break, they sell you therapy. They sell you pills. They sell you meaning. They break you, then profit from the pieces. Why this matters? Because if you think this is just about one manipulator, you'll never see the system. You'll keep fixing yourself instead of exiting the game. You'll keep trying to be better instead of becoming sovereign. This chapter is your wake-up call. You're not just in a toxic relationship, you're in a designed ecosystem of control. And the only way out is to stop playing the role they wrote for you.
You can't out-empathize a manipulator. You can't out-loyal a predator. You can't win by playing their game, because their game is built on your predictability, your reactions, your need to be understood. To break ruthless minds, you don't need to overpower them. You need to become unreadable. This chapter is your reprogramming, not to become like them, but to become invisible to them. Tactic 1. Strategic silence. They feed on your explanations, your justifications, your emotional transparency. So you go silent, not passive, strategic. You stop explaining. You stop defending. You stop reacting. Every time you withhold a reaction, you fracture their map of you. They can't exploit what they can't predict. Silence isn't weakness. It's fog. And in fog, predators lose their edge. Tactic 2. Controlled unpredictability. Ruthless minds thrive on pattern. They need to know what you'll do next. So you break the pattern. You say no when you used to say yes. You disappear when they expect you to chase. You agree, then do nothing. Not to confuse, to destabilize. You become a variable, a glitch, a man who doesn't follow the script, and that makes you dangerous. Because now they can't calculate the cost of crossing you. Tactic 3. Psychological opacity. You stop broadcasting your thoughts. You stop narrating your process. You stop giving them access to your internal world. You become opaque. They ask what's wrong. You say, nothing. They ask what you're thinking. You say, just observing. You give them no foothold, no emotional leverage, no data. You're not cold, you're unreadable. And that terrifies them, because they can't control what they can't decode. Tactic 4. Boundary without explanation. You set limits, but you don't explain them. You don't justify your no. You don't argue your standards. You don't negotiate your peace. You say, this doesn't work for me. And that's it. No anger, no apology, no debate. Because the moment you explain, you invite manipulation. They'll twist your reasons. They'll poke holes. They'll reframe your logic. So you give them nothing. Just the wall and the silence behind it. Tactic 5. Exit without announcement. You don't warn. You don't threaten. You don't beg. You just leave. You vanish from the loop. You stop feeding the dynamic. You stop playing the role. And that's the deepest cut. Because ruthless minds don't fear confrontation. They fear irrelevance. They fear silence. They fear being ignored. They fear losing access. So you become inaccessible, not to punish, to reclaim. This is how you reverse the leverage, not by fighting harder, but by becoming the man they can't reach.
You've been taught to evolve, to improve, to heal. That's not enough. You don't need growth. You need death. Because the man who got trapped, the one who explained, who chased, who forgave, he cannot be upgraded. He must be eliminated. This chapter is not transformation. It's execution. The identity that invited exploitation. Let's be clear. You weren't exploited because you were weak. You were exploited because you were predictable. Because you needed to be liked. Because you needed to be understood. Because you needed to be good. That identity, the pleaser, the fixer, the loyalist, wasn't noble. It was bait. And as long as he lives, you'll keep bleeding. The ritual of severance. This isn't metaphor. This is war. You need to ritualize the kill, not with candles, with decisions. Burn the apology drafts you never sent. Delete the messages you keep rereading. Block the numbers you keep hoping will call. Not because you're angry, because you're done. You're not seeking closure. You're sealing the tomb. The void between selves. After the kill, there's silence. Emptiness, a void. This is where most men relapse. They mistake the silence for loneliness. They run back to the familiar pain. Don't. Sit in the void. Let it hollow you. Let it strip you of every reflex that made you manipulable. This is the cocoon, not of healing, of reassembling. The birth of the sovereign. From the void you build. Not a better man, a different one. One who doesn't explain. One who doesn't chase. One who doesn't flinch. He doesn't seek peace, he enforces it. He doesn't ask, am I good? He asks, am I in control? He doesn't fear being misunderstood, he uses it. This is the sovereign self, not reactive, not emotional, not available. He doesn't play roles, he writes them. No return. Once you kill the old self, you can't go back. You'll see the games, you'll hear the manipulation, you'll smell the guilt before it's spoken, and you'll walk away. Not because you're cold, because you're clean. This is the death they fear, not of your body, of your compliance. You're no longer prey. You're no longer programmable. You are no longer theirs.
You've seen the game. You've seen the loop. You've seen the masks. Now you sever, not with rage, with precision. This isn't about revenge. It's about removal. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them understanding. You don't owe them a single word. You owe yourself sovereignty. The final illusion, redemption. They'll try to pull you back, not with force, with sentiment. They'll say they've changed. They'll say they miss you. They'll say they understand now. It's bait. They don't want you back. They want access back to your energy, to your attention, to your mind. You are not their redemption arc. You are their exit wound, the elite code. You don't respond. You don't explain. You don't revisit. You operate by a new code. 1. No reaction is the loudest message. 2. No contact is the deepest cut. 3. No closure is the cleanest escape. You don't need to prove you've changed. You just disappear and stay gone. This is not ghosting. This is ghost protocol. The power of absence. Your silence becomes legend. Your absence becomes myth. Your name becomes a trigger. They'll wonder what you're thinking. They'll wonder if you hate them. They'll wonder if you ever cared. Let them.
because the moment you explain, you re-enter the loop, and you didn't come this far to be bait again. The final cut. You don't just cut them off, you cut off the part of you that still wants to be seen by them, that still wants to be understood, that still wants to be missed. You kill the echo, you kill the hope, you kill the need, and in that silence, you become untouchable. No mercy, no return. This is your final warning. If you go back, you'll go back as prey. There is no safe version of the trap. There is no kinder version of the loop. There is only the game and the men who refuse to play it. You are not healed. You are not whole. You are forged. And from this point forward, you don't seek peace. You enforce it.